Hello, Internet! My name is Catherine Barsonistas, and you are watching The Glutton's Geek Presents Munchies and Minis, a cooking show where I make recipes inspired by various tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons, Shadowrun, and in the case of today's episode, Pathfinder. So, if you've been following my blog at all this week, you noticed that I posted up at the beginning of this week a recipe for a stuffed eggplant that is inspired by the Aeylinth Vinyards in the city of Green Gold in the elvish nation of Keonan in Pathfinder's Golarion. Yes, it's very much in this, in this, in this, in this, in this. It's fine. We'll get over it. Either way, the Aeylinth Vineyards, if you haven't actually read that blog post, is really kind of a cool in-city vineyard. As in, it is grown from the branches from a magically altered giant birch tree. The tap room itself is within that hollowed out tree, magically hollowed out, so that tree is still very much living and still going strong. And it started originally once this kind of reclusive elf who decided to make all this huge gardens around his home, his tree home, decided to play into making wine from all the various fruits and vegetables that she grew in her tree or around her tree. And then it just kind of took off, being in business for generations. One of the recipes that we did, like I said, that stuffed eggplant was stuffed with pear, walnut, and honey. Another one of the recipes is one we're making today, and that is for honeycomb cake with lavender icing and topped with chilled black cherries. The cherries are going to be more of a room temperature because they are canned because, well, cherries aren't in season right now, and they're in season for a very short period of time, and by the time you actually want to make this, they might not be in season. So go with your dark canned cherries on that. I know I'm going to. So, I've been blathering on. Let me actually read you some of the stuff from Pathfinder's Inner Sea Tavern's entry on the Aeylinth Vineyard. And I'm going to go ahead and read my favorite quote about the place from Varric Longtooth, a very conflicted half-orc visitor. Damn delves, stuck-up tree huggers, the lot of them. Did you even see the menu when we came in? Where's, the meat? How can you call something a meat if it doesn't have meat? A meal if it doesn't have meat? And this horrible glass of whatever they gave me, just look at it. It's beautiful. This isn't alcohol. It's some elf's art project. Yeah. The interesting thing about the Aeylinth Vineyards menu is that it is, for the most part, vegetable and fruit based. I don't see a single ounce of meat on this menu so far. I mean, I see squash soup, I see roasted eggplant, wild mushroom pie, which apparently that half-orc absolutely adores, and sorbet and cake. So we're not doing the sorbet because that's very hard to film within 2 hours. The cake, however, we are. And I was going, okay, well, how do I do a honeycomb cake? Is that a thing? And turns out, yes, it is. I actually based this recipe off a Malaysian cake that is usually made with brown sugar, and there's two versions. There's the type that's made with condensed milk, and then there's the kind that's made with tapioca starch. The kind made with tapioca starch usually is flavored with pandan extract, which is English word for pandan is screw pine. It's a type of leaf you find in Southeast Asian countries that has kind of a very rose and almond flavor to it. As cool as that is, we're not doing that because it's a little bit more difficult for you to get your hands on the ingredients. We are instead making the version with condensed milk, and instead of brown sugar, we're going to be using, like the name says, honey. The result of said process actually manages to bake up the cake with several little holes, so when you cut it crosswise, it looks like a honeycomb. So we're going to be doing that, and then covering it with lavender and lemon icing, and then topping it with cherries. So once again, I'm rambling. Let's get to cooking, because we do have a lot of hurry up and waits. So first, you need to get your sweet stuff, for the most part, kind of dissolved together. So I'm just going to switch to my prep cam here. You are going to be needing about a half cup of sweetened condensed milk, a cup of honey, go for the cheap stuff, seriously, and salted butter, which is in my fridge, and water, I believe. Salted butter. I don't normally buy salted butter, but in this particular case, I do. And it kind of helps enhance the flavors of the cake a little bit. Kind of enhances that honey sweetness. So, you're gonna need about a third of a cup of salted butter, which is about 5 1/3 tablespoon. Anyway, there's the butter. We'll cut it when we need it. Milk, honey, and about 200 milliliters of water. And the thing is, yes, I would have done English measurements on this, but to be quite honest with you, the cups, the English cups, well, American cooking measurements that translate down to 200 milliliters is not exactly a standard measuring cup size or even a line on your thing. So most measuring cups have a milliliter section on the side like that, like little metric system. We love the metric system. No, we don't. I should love it, but, you know, I'm American. And I've learned how to eyeball American baking and cooking measurements. I've not learned how to eyeball metric measurements, because when you're cooking with stuff such as weight, that's very hard to eyeball unless you're doing it all the time. So, we've got our water. And next, I'm just gonna to make it easier for my ingredients to get out of this measuring cup, I'm just gonna spray the inside of it with cooking spray. And then I need half a cup of sweetened condensed milk. I'm not really sure I'm going to do the rest of that, but I'll figure out something. Even if it's just a top dessert slough later. So, there we go. Just gotta get a spatula to get the rest of that out. Spatula, here we are. Okay. Then I need a cup of honey. So I'm just going to give that another spritz of cooking spray in the measuring cup so it's easier to remove. And a full cup of honey. Pour, 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 pour. There we go. Like I said, choose the cheap stuff. I mean, if you really want to, use some honey flower. Use some wildflower honey, and that could be pretty tasty. Or orange blossom would work really well with this flavor combination. But since both are kind of expensive, it is perfectly okay to go with clover honey. And that is what I'm doing. Alright, so we got that all together. And now I just need to add my butter. You're going to want about a third of a cup, which is 5 tablespoons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a third of a tablespoon right there. So just gonna slice that, and that is salted butter, mind you. So cut that, and I'm just gonna cube that up so it melts a wee bit faster, because I want to be able to have this cool in as little time as possible, and that's harder to do if I have to wait longer for it to all melt and dissolve. So, I'm gonna cube that butter up. And while yes, this might be considered a little bit more of a fussy baked good than, you know, most kind of stick the stuff for a batter in a mixer and then bake it up, it's actually kind of simple in some respects compared to some other pastries you'd have to do. Like, for example, you don't have to keep the butter cold for this. You don't have to make an egg white meringue for this. You don't have to... Goodness. I'm trying to think of other things that are fussy and annoying. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. Alright, so we got our butter, condensed milk, honey, and water in our saucepan. So I'm just gonna take that to the stove and put that over a medium-high flame. And just kind of stir that a bit. To, you know, get all that stuff off the bottom of the pan a little bit. Especially, as you can see, it is pretty darn viscous. So I don't really want it to burn. But as I whisk it like this and as it heats up, it is going to dissolve and the butter is going to melt on me, so I don't have to worry too much about it getting stuck in my whisk like so. So just don't want it to really come to a boil because then it takes longer to cool down, and I really have to wait for this stuff to cool down until I add it to the rest of my mixture, because I'm going to be adding this directly to beaten eggs. And the trouble with that is that egg has a tendency to cook at very low temperatures. If I have this too hot, it's going to cook the egg upon contact, and then we might get a rubbery consistency, which is not fun. So this is one of those patience recipes, but you know, I think it's going to turn out really well. Also, I'm going to be taking the time to cook up one of my blog post recipes while we wait, based off of the game that's Sunless Sea, which, yeah, if you haven't played that game yet, it's pretty fun, but it has kind of a similar pace to games like Civilization or Sid Meier's Pirates. So basically Sid Meier's games. You are playing a sea captain in an underground sea that basically, at some point, London kind of collapsed beneath the surface of the Earth to this underground sea full of kind of Lovecraftian-style horrors. So, yeah, you're living in that universe, and you're a sea captain, essentially in the Underdark, where you basically have to keep your crew fed and from going completely mad, or at least keep yourself from that. Your crew's expendable. Okay, that is melted, and I would say that is dissolved. That is also the, what's it called, the advantage of using honey over sugar in this particular application, because it already is kind of at a liquid content anyway. So it doesn't have to heat up all that much for honey to dissolve as opposed to, say, well, sugar. So that is doing its thing, as in just cooling. So that means we can go ahead and prep our other ingredients while waiting for it to cool down enough to, you know, not cook our eggs. we go. Just doing a wee bit of cleanup as I'm being blinded by the sun coming in, because time is changing, yo. Alright. Yep, that's a sunset. Okay, so I've got about 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour here that I just need to sift to get all the lumps out of, and then kind of get to as fine as possible. So I do need a new flour sifter. As you can see, the handle broke on this one. And my lazy butt just hasn't gotten around to getting a new one. Because I don't really do baking all that often. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like it when I make desserts. I just wish it was easier to make less of a dessert. Because I'm not really a sweets person. Which is probably why a lot of the baked goods I make usually tries to have some kind of savory flavor profile element, because that's just what I prefer. Because don't get me wrong, I love cinnamon, I do like vanilla, but a lot of that stuff just kind of tastes one note and boring. And also, I didn't go to pastry school, and it's entirely different discipline as far as baking pastries are concerned. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people specialize in one and not the other. And that's just because it's a different style associated with the different style of thinking. Okay. Try to get that sifted as much as possible. I'm just going to go ahead and put that to the side, because I'm still going to need this for when I add my leavening agent. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour this mixture here into my measuring cup as well, because I'm going to have to add this gradually, and a pour spout does make things go a lot. That's about 2/3 and a third. Okay, that's going to make things a little easier. Just put that. Hey babe, can you grab me a paper towel or two? Preferably two. It's got all drippy on me. Okay, separate into two, and then put it on the surface. Thank you. Okay. It's a bit sticky. I know, giggity. So. And while I'm waiting, I can go ahead and grab my eggs. Sorry, what? I've been informed that my calico cat is now staking out the kitchen to see if there's anything I dropped or am about to drop. Hi, princess. How are you? It's my ginger snaps. Hi. Can I say hi to my followers? No? Okay. I understand. Alright, so you're gonna need 6 eggs for this recipe. Yeah, there's a reason why you need to keep this light and fluffy. Because as you know, egg-based pastries, especially cakes, I mean, if they have this much anyway, do have a tendency to get kind of gummy if you are not careful. So. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna switch my camera over to my stand mixer over here. Yeah, so we had a little bit of a technical malfunction right before the stream, being that the little swivel head on my camera broke just from the plastic degrading. So we had to fix that at the last minute. That's why things are a little wonkier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and crack these eggs into the bowl of my stand mixer here. And use the paddle attachment. We are not making a meringue. So we are indeed using the paddle attachment. Also, when I add flour, it's less likely to get kind of caught and stuck up into the whisk. That's 3. We're halfway there. Yeah, there we go. 4. Five. And 6. Hi, can I help you? Yeah? Sniffing for truffles? Yeah, she's very much in scavenger mode. Hi. What are you doing, my baby girl? Yeah, she's my little girl. Right here. Yep. Wanna say hi? Say hi to my followers? Yeah? Look in the camera. There's a good girl. Yeah. There's a good girl. This is Ginger. And she turned 22 about... Oh, sorry. Oh, goodness. 2 weeks ago? Yeah, she turned 22 2 weeks ago. Crazy. Alright, so, yes, eggs. I need to beat them as my camera slowly shifts out of the way. And I just need to beat them until they are thoroughly beaten. As in, that yolk is completely broken up and mixed into the egg whites. About there. A little bit more. Yeah, that'll do it. About to that point. And I'm just gonna see how warm this stuff is. Oh, yep, that's still too warm. That is still too warm to add to the eggs. So we're not gonna put that in yet. Tastes delicious, I can tell you that. Alright, so, flour, other ingredients. That means I have some time, so I'm going to use that time to work on the blog post that I'm going to eat for dinner and then shoot tomorrow, because I'm going to be exhausted after this stream. And also, there's another reason, and I didn't really get to that point, why I am making this particular cake this weekend. It is because we are having the second dinner party since we all became like fully vaccinated, with a couple of my friends that I haven't seen in a while. Looking very much forward to that, and you know, I try to time out baking my desserts and whatnot for when I have people coming over so they can help us get rid of them. It's gonna be a very delicious cake. It's just, we don't need to be eating an entire bundt cake for a whole week, so let's invite 6 other people over and they can help us eat it. So, I just still need to wait for my honey and condensed milk mixture to continue to cool down. So, with that, let's get started on that blog post recipe that I also need to shoot photos of at the same time. So, like I said, Sunless Sea is kind of a Lovecraftian underwater, like, not even underwater, underground, well, let's just say Sid Meier's Pirates. Combine that with, like, any kind of Lovecraftian steampunk thing, and take away the piracy, make it more of a sea captain, like, under the underground, and with all sorts of unnameable horrors coming after you, and that's Sunless Sea. It's a very slow game, very much in the style of a lot of Sid Meier's games, like Sid Meier's Pirates or Civilization, but it's still a fun play. I'm making from the game a dish called Zoop, which spelled with 2 Z's because it's not the C, it's the Z. But it is manufactured on this volcanic island underground, and it tastes of mushrooms, mushrooms, I think onions, and irony is how they, mushrooms, paprika, and irony is how they mention it. However, there is a character, and I just realized I left my, what's it called? My lens over here. There is a character, a chef that you can pick up as your ship's cook, that asks you to pick it up for him so he can experiment with it. And he actually figures out what it's made from, which, as he says, it's a bold dash of paprika, chanterelle mushrooms from sunken London, like a quarter of sunken London. Let's see, sorrow onions. What else? Tears of a hangman or defiled priest. Petals from the heretic's rose from hell. And, yeah, I think that's it. We're not gonna get, we're not going to hell for our ingredients, but I figure, you know what they also call a rose that's not a rose? Well, they call garlic a stinking rose. So, we're gonna put garlic in there, as well as a red sweet onion, some cremini mushrooms, since chanterelles are expensive and hard to get, like 2 or 3 types of paprika, it really depends on what I happen to have on me, and ham stock, which, yeah, it's not as easy to get ham stock in the grocery store, however, you can get bouillon cubes easily and cheaply online. So we're going to be using that. If not, I guess you can use beef stock cubes or just beef stock, up to you. And we're going to be cooking that in bacon fat, so yay, more pig flavor. So, right, let's get my camera set up, and I'm just going to check really quick on that temp. Actually, that is cool enough to cook with. We will do that. Once we will get to all of that, once, I'm just still very, oh yeah. That is cool enough. Okay. So, back to our mixer. I'm just gonna be first turning the mixer on low, to the lowest setting I possibly can. And then I'm going to be pouring about 1/3 of that sweet mixture into my mixer. And I'm just going to rinse that out because I do want to wash it out a little. Actually, no, I don't need it. It can stay. I was going to make the icing in it, but then I realized I can do that in a microwavable bowl, so we're not going to bother. Alright, so that is going. And we're just going to wait until that is, you know, smooth. Which, it's kind of getting there. So now, I'm just going to be adding the flour a little bit at a time as that runs. And only adding more flour once that first bit goes away. So, kind of need to shove that into the liquid. Get that back on. Still kind of get that off the side so it can get into the batter. There we go. There we go. I mean, like I said, this part just kind of takes patience. Okay. Just gonna scrape down the sides some. I just want to make sure that all of that flour is incorporated first. Okay, and now that it's at that point, I can start pouring in the remaining mixture in gradually. I don't know if you can actually see this. There we go. There we go. Okay. Well, that is fully incorporated and smooth, so I'm going to turn my mixer off. Put this in the sink because I don't need it anymore. And then I'm going to set a timer for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, I also need to preheat my oven to about 356 degrees Fahrenheit. And while we wait, that's going to preheat, so it's ready to go into the oven. But there is just a few more things I have to do before I get to that point. Which is one, I need to prep my baking soda. Because the whole idea is the baking soda is going to be added to the mixture at the last minute with all that acidic honey. And, what else do I have? Milk and honey are both pretty acidic as it is. So it's going to react as soon as it hits that batter, which is going to make it bubble up all very nicely, especially when it bakes, and especially once it hits that bottom, like once it hits the oven. And I just need that reminds me, you want to move the racks in your oven so it is clear, like you're able to put the cake on the lowest, or at least the lower one. So I'm just going to switch the racks I have right now in here. Actually, no, I'm just going to... Do I want it that low? I've got a pretty hot oven. Ugh. I'm going to take this rack out so I have a little more room over that bottom rack. There we are. While we wait for that all to heat up. And keep in mind, you want this on regular baking cycle, not convection. So if you have convection, turn that sucker off and let it come to heat naturally. Well, as natural as you can in an oven, I suppose. So, next we're going to be 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and the fresher the better in this particular usage. So, let's see, half teaspoon. Yeah, there we go. New box baking soda, because the one I have in the fridge is older than socks. Come on. Yeah. Taking a steak knife to you, because you're not cooperating. Haha. Take that. I mean, yes, I could use my nails, but I've got weak nails. Haha. Yes. Alright. So. And, you know how we kept that flour sifter from earlier? Oh. I can just use this dish. We're going to use that dish. Make things easy. Because it's already dirty. Okay. So. 2.5. That is about 6 half teaspoons of baking soda. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, I know, it didn't really need much sifting. But, you know, sometimes, especially if it's not all that new, it could clump up on you. It's more of a precaution than anything else. So, next we got our bundt pan. And I would recommend getting baking spray. Baker's Joy is a good brand. I'm happy to use pan baking made with flour because that's all I could find at Target. Well, the least expensive I can find at Target. So, yeah, this is my secret ingredient for any kind of shaped pan like this, because otherwise it's just kind of sticking all over the place, or if you're buttering it and flouring it, you still have it sticking in certain parts. Now, this stuff's great because you can just spray. Be careful not to inhale fumes. And it clings. To the sides and gets into all those nooks and crannies. It's a little bit more difficult to get. Then I need to stop talking while spraying. Harder to get on some of these shaped pans like this. For example, if you happen to have that dragon cake pan, like I do from Think Geek years ago, oh, this stuff is wonderful for that. So, I'm just going to stick that to the side as we wait for our batter to sit. And then got a couple of flour lumps, it'll be fine. As we wait for our flour to sit and for our oven to preheat. Now we can start doing that prepping I was talking about. So I'm just going to grab 2 mixing bowls to make this a little easier on myself. And you are going to need the following. There's my garlic. Okay. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Red onion. Garlic. And a pound. That's right, a pound of cremini mushrooms, i.e. baby bella mushrooms. So, we're just going to be doing some prep here. So we definitely have time. So, not only prep, but also photos. Okay. Because, since this is a blog post recipe, that means I need to take pictures, yo. So, thank you for your patience, as we do kind of a little bit of gluttonous geek behind the scenes. And I really hope I have this battery recharged on here. It's not the best, but it'll do. Okay. Maybe focus on the garlic so it's not so bright. Oh, I need to turn off the flash. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. A-derp-a-derp-a-dur. Flash off. There we go. And focus on the garlic so I get the white balance right. Oh, I'm getting blinking at me. Okay. Well, that's okay because I don't necessarily need photos of this particular, of what I'm about to do to these. So I can take a little bit of time to let this battery recharge until I get to the actual cooking process of it. So, and for those just joining us, no, I am not putting mushrooms in this cake. This is actually another recipe that I'm working on right now for my blog, for my May Patreon subscribers. Yeah, all my blog post recipes go on the blog. But since I am an English major and I kind of do story analysis with food, it oftentimes takes me longer to write the post than to cook it. And since I have a Patreon following, I try to get the recipes out to them first before I write the post. So that's something to note if you're considering joining my Patreon. So yeah, this particular recipe is for Zoop from, what's it called? From Sunless Sea. Kind of a Lovecraftian horror video game where you play a sea captain in an underground sea. Or Z, that's how they spell it. Z-Z-E-A. This soup is supposed to taste of mushrooms, paprika, and irony. But since it's supposed to be made with chanterelles, which is kind of interesting, considering chanterelles are a forest mushroom rather than a cave mushroom. But chanterelles that happen to grow in sunken London. Chanterelles are also expensive, and I can normally only find them during the winter. Cremini, i.e. baby bella mushrooms, have a similar flavor profile. And that is a button mushroom. What the heck? Nope, that's cremini. Okay. I was wondering if it was packed at the wrong facility or something. Okay. And we're just slicing this up for now. Kind of a half-inch slice. I mean, we're gonna be pureeing this whole thing with a stick blender at the end. But this allows me to cook out most of the moisture in the mushroom and get as much browning as possible. Kind of build on that flavor. Slicing it first, though, to make sure it cooks evenly and quickly. And you're thinking, oh, I don't like mushrooms, they're so slimy. That's because they are being served wrong. A lot of times people will add mushrooms to a pan with oil. And the thing is, mushrooms are kind of like little savory sponges. There's already a lot of moisture in them, but then you're kind of overwhelming it with oil before you're getting the rest of the moisture out, so they can end up kind of slimy. I recommend putting them in a dry pan first to cook out most of the moisture. And the thing is, you can just salt it and maybe add a drizzle of olive oil at that point. But if you're doing other stuff, like in this case, onions, that's when you add the oil and whatever else you're cooking. Though in this case, I'll be taking the mushrooms out after I cook them, and then adding them towards the boiling stage. So this is 1 pound of cremini mushrooms. And it sounds like the oven has finished preheating, but we still have about 4 minutes left on that timer before we start baking. So we're getting very close to that time. Now, this recipe that I'm working on right now, I'm kind of basing it off of a Hungarian mushroom soup I found. Kind of traditional, made with sour cream, mushrooms, and onions, and paprika. A very healthy dose of paprika. And sour cream. But normally it is cooked with, what's it called? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Soy sauce, or I imagine probably some kind of drippings or beef stock or something. I'm using fish sauce because of the abundance of fish within the Sunless Sea universe. And it kind of gives it sort of that unholy, from the deeps flavor. So, and we're going to be keeping the mushrooms and onions separate, though actually I could probably, I'm just going to switch that out. I don't need that, because I can just use this carton once I'm finished slicing the mushrooms to hold them before, kind of minimize the mess I make in my kitchen. And if you're thinking, holy crap, that's a lot of mushrooms, it's actually not. I mean, mushrooms, like I said, are savory little sponges. When I cook out all of that moisture, they're going to shrink up like crazy. Hence the reason why I'm using so much, because I also want that to be the dominant flavor in my soup. Some paper towel. I get some dirt on that. And 20 seconds left on the timer. Okay. Cool. So going back to our stove can, now it is time to find where the heck I put my baking soda. There it is. And shut up my timer. And kind of gradually mix that in. It's a little bit higher to mix it a little more thoroughly. Okay. And that cake batter is done. attach that. Where are you? Yes. Okay, so let's go back to our prep can. To our already prepared pan. All right, so I'm just gonna pour this batter into a pourable bowl, same one I was using earlier, and grab that. Don't need that anymore. And now, for the last weird bit, I promise. I'm just gonna whisk it because it looks like some of our egg. Alright. Didn't quite break up. Now, here's the last weird bit. I'm gonna pour it through the sieve into our pan. I know, I need a better sieve. But it will get through at some point. This will help kind of eliminate the lumps that you might get in your batter. As you see, some of the flour had kind of formed into lumps. This kind of keeps most of that out. If you're worried about it getting stuck, no worries. Gravity will do the work for you, as you can see. Just that last bit. Okay. So, just one last thing you need to do before putting it into the oven. It's super easy, I promise. Take a pastry brush or grill brush or whatever you happen to have and kind of lightly brush the batter up the sides of the pan, because this will help it climb some. And do that to the center too, for the same exact reason. Okay. So, now it is time to get our cake into the oven. So, we're going to want to put this on the bottom rack, or as close to as possible. And set a timer for, we're going to check in about 50 minutes, just to be sure. You want to do about 55 to 60 minutes for that, so we're just going to let that do its thing in the oven while we continue to prep our soup. Aren't you glad I picked another thing for us to do today? Because otherwise we'll just be sitting here for an hour going, ba ba ba, ba ba ba. None of that. Also, if we have time, we'll go ahead and make up my Thai basil lemonade, which I'm going to be serving for said dinner party tomorrow as well. So, now I just need to finish slicing up these mushrooms. Oh. And you just need this roughly about the same size as the others. Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week this week. I was going to cook this Wednesday, but between the stress of trying to find gas for my husband's car earlier, and also the fact my little sister called up and we ended up talking for about 3 hours, we moved it to Friday, which, you know, I'm actually kind of glad as far as the recipe is concerned that we did that, because it kind of keeps my cake from drying out too much before I serve it to people. I mean, granted, I do have a cake saver, which will definitely help keep it fresh throughout the week, but for this kind of cake, just because it is so sugar-based, apparently it can get kind of dry on you quickly. So, I didn't want to risk it too much. Now, I don't know, we'll see what happens, because there was a lot of moisture in that batter. We'll see what happens with that. I'm kind of excited, because it's the first time I've ever made something like this. So, we'll see if it works just as well with purely honey as opposed to brown sugar or golden syrup. So that is our mushrooms. I'm just gonna throw it right back into the carton. And I might actually cook this in batches at this rate. There we go. Stick that to the side. Shove my mixer out of the way. And give my spoon rest a rinse. Get all of that cake batter off of it. There we go. Alright. Now, onion. This is a rather large red onion, so I might just end up using half of it. We'll see how much space it occupies once I get one half of it diced. Haha, okay. Let's go with the bigger half. Get that away from the fan so it's not blowing onion fumes into my eyes. Okay. Just peel the top off here. And we're just going to use that to hold that straight. This I don't have to be as perfect with, because I don't have to, I am going to be pureeing this whole bit, but I still want it roughly around the same size. And you see I'm using the bud end of this onion to keep it from slipping, especially when I get towards this last bit here. Go. I'm also kind of working quickly so the onion fumes don't get to my eyes as easily, and essentially making sulfuric acid in my eyes. Because that's what happens when onions, the gas is released from the onions when you slice them, mixed with your tear ducts. It creates sulfuric acid. That's why it hurts so much, and that's why you cry. Because you literally have an acid factory in your eyes. Okay. But yeah. If you know what I'm talking about, the getting gas from my husband's car, well, it's because this week, well, technically last week, Russian hackers managed to shut down the Colonial Oil Pipeline. And even though our state and our country has put in safeguards to keep us from having essentially a gas shortage, as in about a supply of 21 days per state of gas ready to go, there was panic buying. And, yes, there's gas, but you still need tanker trucks and people driving those tanker trucks to get the gas to the gas stations. So yeah, it's Friday and there's maybe 2 gas stations in the area that have gas, and don't even get me started on trying to get to that. Okay, that's about half onion. I could probably go with a bit more. Let's see if that fits in my onion saver. If it fits, we'll use a half an onion. If it doesn't, we'll use more than a half an onion. And granted, for this recipe, I am writing down a whole red onion, but this thing is huge. So I'm gonna be using enough to account for a medium-sized red onion. So just gonna do the slicing. And then do enough dicing for it to fit into my onion saver. So, there we go. That should do it. And I'll just use whatever is left there for breakfast Sunday morning. Tear that off. Bam. Oof. Okay. Wow, that's pungent. Alright. And at last, garlic. Just gonna grab 2 dishes. Huh, I could have kept one out. Meh. One is going to be for my 4 cloves of garlic, and the other is going to be for the paprika and spice mix I'm going to be putting into the soup. So, just going to pull out some cloves here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, I know it's massive. I don't care, I love garlic. So, toss that. Whew. And while I don't normally like to reference unitaskers all that much, I'm lazy right now, so we're just gonna take one of these little silicone tubes here to peel our garlic. Look at that. That one's being a little bit more stubborn. Okay. And that at least roughs it up enough to take it off whole. Alright. And that made quick work of that. Just gonna stick this in the sink because I don't need it anymore. Alright. And while we're not going to mince our garlic, we're going to kind of roughly chop it some. And that is going to be a lot easier by doing the following. First, you're going to cut that little root end off the end. Slice that in half. And this is where I get tiny little cutting board out, because it's easier to clean for what I'm about to do next. So, kosher salt. First, I'm going to put kosher salt on my board, lay the cut side on the kosher salt, take my knife, smash that, and then just give that a rough chop. And the thing is, that salt that I put on the board helps kind of break the cell walls of that garlic a little bit more and sweeten it. Yeah. There we go. Where did that root end go? Ah, there it is. Put that in the trash pile. Alright. Admittedly, putting salt on the board like that also kind of gives the garlic some traction so it doesn't slip out from under your knife while you're smashing it. So, it's multi-purpose. Just 2 more cloves to go. Oh, I forgot to cut that root end. There we go. All better. Okay. Little end off there, it wasn't looking so good. But it's still, the rest of it's still very usable. So, smash. You're essentially smashing it to create a flatter surface, and by creating a more even surface, your pieces of garlic are a little bit more uniform. Alright. A lot of knife work is just creating stable surfaces and evenly sized pieces. Or at least similar sized. Alright. And since the next part we do kind of have to watch a bit, that's why we're still doing all of the prep work ahead of time. So, now, if I was able to find it in grocery stores, I would be using sweet Hungarian paprika for this. Since it's not often sold in grocery stores, we're going to be using a mix of smoked paprika and hot Hungarian, just so we have a little bit of a Hungarian paprika in there. So, did I actually write down how much? Yes, I did, on the next page. So, a tablespoon and a half of smoked paprika, and a half tablespoon of Hungarian paprika. So, that's what this is for. Paprika, here's my Hungarian, and that's my sweet. Where's my smoked? I need to be looking for my lavender anyway, which I think is up here. So, time to open up the spice arsenal, or at least the part of the spice arsenal that I hate getting to, because everything is stacked in a larger container, and thus harder to find. Where are you? Let's see. Hungarian paprika. And sweet paprika? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my smoked paprika. Smoked. Where did you go? Didn't accidentally get in here, did it? Haha! It's underneath everything. And let's see, black pepper, which is up here. Right, this is moving over here. Yes, I know it's a mess. Okay, so first a half a teaspoon of black pepper. So a quarter and a half to kind of give it sort of that, what's it called, peppery taste you get with the chanterelle mushroom. Hey Abe! It's been cooking. I mean, the cooking's good. Got the cake in the oven, my honeycomb cake. About 30 minutes left on that. And then we'll be making the lavender icing for it. In the meantime, I am making a mushroom paprika soup for the game Sunless Sea, which is kind of a Lovecraftian sea captain horror game. It's pretty fun, but I'm basing this off of kind of a Hungarian mushroom soup, and then kind of building on that with some fish sauce. And what else am I putting in here? Rose water and bacon fat and garlic. So yeah, it's gonna be a little scary. But that would go well with the chicken Alfredo bake I made. Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually, oh goodness, I have 6 friends coming over tomorrow night. All of them passed their second vaccination date, their 2-week period. In fact, it's about more than a month at this point. But yeah, I'm super excited. I've got pork chops, which I've marinated in apple butter, mustard, sesame oil, sumac, garlic powder, and apple cider vinegar. Yes. And then salad, crescent rolls. I mean, I think the pork chops are probably the most complicated thing I've made. Oh, right, I'm also making Thai basil lemonade for them too before they so if we have time to do that on the stream tonight, we'll do that as well. Just because it takes one step off of my list of things to do for tomorrow. Thank God the gods that the house is already mostly clean. Your second shot is Monday. Congrats, dude. Alright, I should get a picture of my spices once I get them out. So, about a tablespoon and a half of smoked paprika. This stuff right here, which is not as hot as hot Hungarian paprika. And a half a tablespoon of hot Hungarian paprika. Oh boy. And there is a slight color variation from that. So I was so mad the day before I was supposed to get my Johnson & Johnson shot, they pulled it because of the issues. Oh wow. Yeah, we got lucky. Apparently I have Google Flu or something, and when they opened it up for fat people, which I am part of that group, I was searching all the pharmacies, and the problem is, a good part of them, you can only sign up for first shot if there are appointments open to get the second shot. The trouble is, they were making first appointment slots, but they weren't making second appointment slots far enough out. So I had to find it through an independent pharmacy. About, oh gosh, a 20-minute drive away, which is fine. But it was such a nightmare for everyone trying to get a shot. I mean, it's kind of like trying to, what's it called? Finding, let's see, trying to find gas actually recently. I mean, as soon as I got back from buying groceries for the soup and also for the cake, actually, I was like, you know, my boss, my husband has to go into the office for work, and both of our tanks are low. If he's able to get gas, I'll be in the office, but if not, I'm not, and because he still had to use my car, it's more of a, it's probably a safer bet to hold off using my car until there's steady enough. Okay, I'll be right back because my cat's doing something really gross. Don't worry, I'll wash my hands. No, Ginger. Nope, 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 nope. Don't eat that. Nope. Nope. That is not for eating. Oh gosh. But yeah. Goodness. Better wait for the supply to come in over the weekend before trying to get gas, and maybe for the prices to go down a bit, because I ended up getting fewer than 10 gallons of gas for my husband, and that was with it being like $3.19 a gallon. It was also the only gas station in the area that had gas. So, when I got mine at Walmart, I felt dirty. Gotta love the idiots causing a shortage, because, you know, it's not like we had an abundance due to COVID. Oh my gosh, I know. I mean, I just remember when I heard that, I'm going, oh crap, we're gonna have a repeat of Katrina, aren't we? Because, yeah, I remember sitting in my art class at college, when one of my classmates' parents were calling her up, telling her to get flash off, telling her to get gas immediately because there was going to be a shortage. And yeah, that was the huge gas hike we had. Focus. Yeah, just want to see that. There we are. But yeah, so I'm just going, you know what? I'm able to work from home. Because of COVID, we've had that capability, so I'm just gonna use that. Sure, one of my coworkers was annoyed, my boss didn't like it either, but you know, I can get over it. And they know. So, let's see, I need as large as a saucepan as I could possibly get. We'll use this guy. And make sure that I've got a lid that fits it. So, not that guy. That guy works. Alright. And switch my camera to actually look at the thing. Yeah. Hi, Ginger. How are you, my love? Yeah. As you can see, we had a bit of an issue with this camera. The swivel on it broke. Hi, Ginger. You want to say hi to my followers again? Maybe stop trying to eat that on the floor? Yeah? Yeah? You go say hi? Say, no, I want to eat stuff. This is bullshit. Yes, my girl. Yes. Little tiny kitten. Okay, princess. There we go. Alright. So, let's switch it back to our stove cam here, where I just need to turn the heat on to about medium low, and then preheat it for about 3 minutes. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to turn the fan on. So it's going to get a wee bit noisy, but that's better than having bacon grease all over my kitchen. Which, speaking of which, I'm going to get said bacon grease out of my fridge. Who the heck is... And I'm streaming right now. Sorry. Just gotta tell her that. Hey lady, I am actually streaming right now. Oh crap. Okay. Well, yeah. You take care of you and your own, and just let me know what goes on, okay? Alright, you take care. Bye. Okay. Did she get off the phone? I can't tell. Yeah, I think she did. Okay. Cool. Right. So, preheating the saucepan. And now I just need to... Actually, I don't even have to add the bacon fat yet, because first, like I said, I have to cook those mushrooms until the majority of the moisture is out of them. So we're gonna do that. Derp-a-derp-a-derp-a-derp. Derp. Alright, I can actually put stuff away while I'm waiting for said timer to go off. So I'm gonna do that. I'm going to put stuff away. Like that unholy amount of paprika. All 3 types of paprika that I happen to have in my spice arsenal. So, try to shove that all... Oh wait, do I have lavender in here? Because I need my lavender. I might have to run to the pantry for my lavender. That is a very strong possibility. Is it under the pink poppy seeds? No, it's not. That's turmeric. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit. Stay. Whew, okay. Of running around the kitchen and whatnot. My ham stock cubes. Okay. I'm normally not this disorganized when doing an episode. I'm just happening to do a blog post recipe as well as a Munchies and Minis recipe at the same time. You get it. So, lemonade. Yum. Alright, so we got 10 seconds left. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding mushrooms to the pan. And get an even layer on that. And just let that cook. I'm going to stick that on medium. I need to cook out all the moisture on those mushrooms first. So that's what we're doing. So, this means I can start cleaning. Alrighty. Cleaning. Alright, I knew what I was doing now. Okay. So, 18 minutes left on the cake. Pepper is going back in the pantry. And I need lavender, that's right. So I'm just going to keep blathering on until I go get some lavender from my pantry. And thank goodness for wireless microphones so you can hear me as I scramble around my pantry for a thing I was pretty sure that I had already upstairs. Pretty sure. Ah, there it is. Okay. Yes. Dried lavender. Okay. And is this stuff still potent? I hope it is. Oh yeah. That still smells like lavender. So, as you can kind of see here, the mushrooms are already expelling their own liquid without even having to add oil to the pan. And it's kind of providing sort of a non-stick surface for it as it cooks. So that's the deal. We were trying to cook out as much moisture from those mushrooms as we possibly can. So that's gonna kind of take some time, which is good because we still have stuff to do. Oh, I've got garlic wrappings all over the place. Yeah, get off my countertop. Thank goodness for having a robot vacuum later on. Okay. I'm just gonna grab a soup bowl to put those cooked mushrooms in. Because this is also our dinner tonight. And that way I'm also not having to dirty up a dish just to use as a prep dish. This is also a serving bowl. But yeah, I'm waiting to the point where there is no more water coming out of these mushrooms. Right, so while I'm doing that, I can get some dishes going. Yay! Yay for cleaning things, so I have less things to do tomorrow. Yay! Alright. But yeah, I'm super excited about tomorrow. Hopefully our friends Anne and Jake will be coming to join us. She just called me to let me know they might not be able to make it because of a family medical emergency. So I'm keeping in tune with that, but also having our friends Jeremiah, Melinda, Henry, and Mitch over. And yeah, Jeremiah and Melinda, I've known Melinda probably longer than a lot of my friends. We go back to when we first joined the Georgia Renaissance Festival cast the same exact year. She was the newsmonger, and I had my pirate band at the time. So it was kind of hilarious when we all kind of met each other through different venues. My now husband met her now husband at DragonCon. He met her later on when they were both on the Georgia Renaissance Festival cast after I had left. And it just shows to me that the geek world is indeed a very, very small world. Okay, so it looks like that these guys are dry. So I need to move this to that pan. To that bowl, technically. And another layer of mushrooms, like so. And I should get a picture of that too. I really think so. It's a good looking shot. Also kind of illustrate my point some. Let's see where... Camera. Yes. Indeed. If I actually turn the darn thing on. Alright. Turn the flash off. Alright. Now, normally I do all this with the tripod, but my photo-taking tripod, well, my prep photo or kitchen tripod is currently being in use to do this stream. So cool. Just cover that and stick that to the side. In the meantime, I can can go ahead and prep other things for this dish, and that would be for my icing. So, I'm just going to switch us to the prep cam here, where I've got my dried lavender, and I'm going to get a microwave safe bowl. We'll go with this cup because it's easy to pour. Hi, Ginger. And, we're not going to be using that tablespoon because it fell on the floor. Go back to my instructions for the cake rather than making the soup. And we need about 2 teaspoons of dried lavender. So 1 and 2 start us out. And I'm going to go ahead and get our powdered sugar measured out for this, which is going to be, that's flour, powdered sugar, here we are. I'm just going to add this to a measuring cup so it's easy to pour over my cake once it is all mixed up. So you're going to need about a cup of powdered sugar. So, don't worry about sifting it. We are done using that sifter, I promise. So, there's a cup. Just a little bit more. Alright. That'll do. And then set that off to the side because I'm not ready to add the liquid portion yet. So, how are we doing on those mushrooms? Give that a stir. And I'm getting about 10 minutes left on our cake. All right. Whew. Let's go back to our stove cam. And see how much they've cooked down. I mean, we are getting some great browning on that. And like I said, I haven't even added fat yet. It is cooking in its own moisture. So that's going to be really nice to concentrate that all down. Right, I was going to do a thing. I'm just trying to remember what said thing was. Derpa 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 der. I should probably... well, I can get that together once I get closer to that part. Okay. Huh. I probably could have used that strainer for this. We'll make it work. Alright. That is ready. Transfer to my bowl. And then the last round of mushrooms. There we go. Right, I need to measure the water for this soup. So I'm going to need about, how much water? Did I actually write that down? 2.5 cups. Using a lot of measuring cups tonight. You know, I can use a standard measuring cup for that. So we'll just get a 1/2 cup measuring cup. And we'll add that to the bowl of mixing bowl that we had onions in. No, is that? Oh, I can use this. I'll just give it a rinse. Don't have any friends coming tomorrow with gluten allergies, so it's okay. Ooh. All right. 6 minutes left on the cake. I would say that's done. So, all right. So our pan is pretty hot already. That's what I needed a tablespoon for. Yeah. So, while our pan is still hot, I'm just going to be adding about 2 tablespoons of bacon fat to my pan to melt. There's 1. And if you don't already have bacon fat that's already been rendered, salted butter should work just fine. Which I might actually switch to, depending on how much bacon fat I have left. We will see in a bit. So, just waiting for that to melt down. And that little bit of mushroom that's left out of there. And I'm gonna switch the heat down to medium-low. Because I don't want my onions to burn too quickly, and bacon fat does burn pretty hot. So, alright, that is melted and hot. So, I'm gonna add that. And actually, come to think of it, I'm just gonna switch the mushrooms directly to that bowl. Because it's gonna go back in once the onions go back in. Stir that to coat. At this point, you probably don't need to, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to add just a very small dash of kosher salt. Try to get that to as flat of a layer as possible. And just kind of let that cook. In the meantime, let's see, I need about 2.5 cups of water, so I'm going to use that bowl I was using for the mushrooms earlier, and get my water. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Be very careful with that. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some sour cream. You're going to need a total of about a cup of sour cream for this recipe. Though we're only going to do about half a cup into the soup itself, I believe. Don't quote me on that yet. I got sour cream. Half the sour cream, yes. Okay. And an 8-ounce container of sour cream is about a cup. So you can just use about half the container. And the rest of it's going to be used to garnish the soup at the end. So. Alright. Stir that a bit. We want the whole mixture to have that kind of nice browning and be a bit translucent as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going for is a little bit of caramelization. And that is our cake timer going off. I'm just going to check it real quick with a toothpick to see if it's fully done. Ooh, that is pretty. That is finished. Okay, it looks like 50 minutes did it. I'm just going to grab a trivet to put this guy on. Turn off our oven, whoop, so we don't need it anymore. And look at that. Isn't that pretty? Just gonna, feels super light actually. To the center. Yep, that's clean. And that looks like that's gonna come out pretty cleanly, which that makes me very happy to see. All right, back to our stove cam. And I'm just going to set a timer for about 10 minutes for this to cool. Okay, that is looking pretty good. So now I'm just going to add my garlic. It took about 30 to 60 seconds until fragrant. I'm going to timer for about 20 seconds. Because I just want to sweeten it up a bit. Take away it so that kind of that bitter and harsh raw garlic taste. But I don't want it to burn. So I could probably go a little longer. It still smells a little raw to me. So we're gonna go for another 20 seconds. And I'm gonna blow my nose for a second, and that sounds gross, so I'm gonna mute. One moment. Alright, so that is looking beautiful. So, now, I'm going to transfer it back to that bowl of mushrooms. So now I need to make my roux. So now I'm going to lower my heat even lower, probably to about a mid, well, let's keep it at medium low actually. So now I just need to add 3 tablespoons of bacon fat, which I don't think we have enough. Yeah, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of salted butter instead. So, luckily, I already have that ready to go, I believe. Yep, roughly 3 tablespoons. So, just need to add that, let it melt, and get a clean tablespoon out. That's not clean. This is clean. And, where are you? Flour, where is my flour measurement? My flour measurement is right there. So, I'm just gonna grab a whisk. And once that is all melted, which it isn't yet, it's close enough. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour to that mix, and then whisk it. How long did I actually say? Let's see. Flour, whisk over low heat until the mixture smells lightly nutty. We're not there yet. So just turn the heat down to low. It's still smelling a bit like flour. Want it a bit darker than that. Okay, and then we add, let's see, the water. About 2½ cups of water. We add a tablespoon of fish sauce, which, is there any in there? I'm gonna have to run to the pantry again to get my fish sauce. Be right back. That's okay, because that gives it time for the water to heat up. Fish sauce. Okay. And this is squid brand of fish sauce, so I feel that's kind of appropriate, considering that this is kind of a Lovecraftian sort of style recipe. Stuff that you think you already have in your fridge. Nope! Come on, okay. So about a tablespoon. We can use the bacon fat tablespoon, it's fine. Give that a good whisk. Smooth that out. Then half of the sour cream. There we go. And whisk that until smooth. Then all those spices and all the mushrooms and onions from earlier. And now, I just need to bring that to a boil. So I'm going to raise the heat up to, what's it called? Medium. I know words. Okay. Timer on the cake just went off, which is perfect timing. Because that means we can plate our cake and make the icing to go on top. So, got my serving plate right here. Just gonna stick that on the pan, which is now cool enough to handle, and invert that sucker. It should have popped right out. And it did. Awesome. Look at that. Oof. Alright. Still very wobbly, which that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to take a toothpick first and just kind of poke the top a couple of times. This is also kind of to let the icing sink in to the cake itself. Cool. All right, so we got our lavender. Stick this to the side until we need it. And lemon juice. Let's see, are we boiling yet on our soup? Not quite. And I should get a picture of it first. Icing, lemon juice, yes. Recipe. There we go. Okay, we need about 2.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Oops. This is why cleaning as you go helps. Alright, this is clean. So we're gonna use that. So we're gonna need about 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm gonna heat it up in about 20-second increments until it starts boiling on me in the microwave. So, alright. We are just about boiling on the stove. Put the flour away. Probably go a little longer. Ah, not a timer. Keep on hitting timer. No. There we go. Crap, I should have let that steep. Okay. Oh no, only 5 minutes to steep. That's good. Oh yeah, that's looking good and steamy. So I'm just going to cover that with a plate to keep all those nice volatile oils stuck in there, and set a timer for about 5 minutes. Alright, and we are boiling on our soup. I'm just going to switch that back to our stove cam real quick here so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to read my instructions for the proper recipe. Yes. Bring to a boil, cover the pot. And reduce the heat to low. Well, kind of medium low. For about... is it 15 minutes or 20 minutes? 15 minutes. There we go. Okay. Huh. This means I can do a wee bit of cleanup. Still need this to decorate though. And that is not going to decorate for me without going all over the place. So we'll just put the honey right back in there. And remember to add your freaking stock cubes. Oh my gosh. Stupid me. 1 to 2 ham stock cubes. There's 1. And there's 2. Ah, brain just gone. Okay. You can go back here. And I could probably use another hard lemonade. Oh. This one's working. Alright. I'm sorry, this looks so pretty. And I'm afraid that it's going to tear apart on me if I cut this thing. I mean, and I will admit, I wasn't expecting it to turn this deep of a color. but I'm guessing that's probably because of all the sugar in the condensed milk caramelized. But that's okay, because this is gonna look just as good once we get the icing on it, as well as the cherries on top of it as well. So, how are we doing on that soup? 12 minutes. Put this away. 2 minutes left on our lavender lemon juice combination for our icing. Let's see, do I have a mesh spoon or something? I'll use my tea steeper here. Pour that through. And that should work well enough, I think. So. Right. Should figure out something to do with the remaining condensed milk. I'm not entirely sure what that yet, though. 2 minutes. Thank you, too. "45 seconds. Derp, 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 derp. Come on. 30 seconds. It's getting really hard to wait now. The soup smells amazing, though. Okay. Life goes on. Oh, but life goes on. Yes, the timer's over. Okay. Alright, so. Just steeping that out directly into our powdered sugar. Take a spoon and stir like the dickens. And I'm just going to add a touch of kosher salt. I kind of like sort of salted lemonade sort of flavor. And I think it'll really amplify the flavors in there. Okay, that is pretty darn smooth. So, just get into that taste. Perfect. So. And this is why you mix in a measuring cup. Because then you can do cool stuff that makes it look a little bit like a spider web, like so. You ever play with spirographs as a kid? Same concept. Okay. And I could probably just use a scraper to get that last bit. Okay. No. Take some more of that dried lavender, which is over here. Sprinkle on top. And then I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Set that to the side. There we go. Towel, okay. And then just wait for things to do their thing while I clean up. Probably gonna hold off on making the lemonade until tomorrow. So I also have kind of limited kitchen space, and I think we're getting to the point where we're just getting tired. And we're already past 9 o'clock too, so thank you for your patience on all of this. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get those cherries out. So right now I'm just waiting for the icing to set a little bit before I top it with cherries. So that's probably, yeah, I would say it's yeah, we can go ahead and set these. One more. And there you go. And granted, you don't need to necessarily serve it with the cherries on top, but you could also just have it on the side. But I think it adds a nice little kind of thing. This icing definitely set a lot faster than I was intending it to. So let's see if I can kind of seal it on the top some. A little bit that I've got left. There we go. Stay. There we go. With that one. Alright. So more intact cherry this time for this one. Tastes good. Especially with that icing. There we go. Stay. Okay. Yay! We have a cake! Yay! Muppet arms! It's done! Finally! It's done! Right. So with that, I obviously have a soup to finish, but that's not what today's episode is about. It's today's cake. So I would like to thank you for joining me for the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies and Minis tonight. It took a while, but we got there, and I am super excited to present this cake to my friends tomorrow. I think they're going to find it very tasty. That's my hope. And hopefully it'll photograph better than it currently looks on the page, on the plate right now. I'll clean it up some before taking pictures of it tomorrow. But we're done! So, please join us Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern of next week. We're going to be either making some biscuits and gravy with beer-based cream gravy based on the Loot and Dagger podcast, or we'll be making the bacon and bean welcome soup from the Stargath House, from Volo's Guide to either the Sword Coast or... Oh wait, no, it's from Volo's Guide to Baldur's Gate 2 and Dungeons & Dragons. So, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you next week on Munchies and Minis. Have a great night, and as always, stay safe, stay sane, stay you. Catch you later.